we cut. Guess I must be having fun. The less we say about it, the better. Make it up as we go along. With my feet on the ground, head in the sky. It's okay, I know nothing's wrong. Nothing. Oh, I got plenty of time. Oh, you got light in your eyes. And you're standing here beside me. I know the passing of time. Never for money, always for love. Cover up and say goodnight. Say goodnight. Home is where I want to be, but I guess I'm already there. I come on, she lifted up her wings. Guess that this must be the place. Oh, I can't tell one from the other. Did I find you or did you find me? There was a time before we were born. If someone asked, this is where I'll be. Where I'll be. Oh, we drifted in and out. Oh, singing to my mouth. And out of all these kinds of people, you got a face with a view. Oh, I'm just an animal looking for a home. Share the same space for a minute or two. And you love me till the whole stops. Love me till I'm dead.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining this webinar. We'll start in a few minutes. We're just going to wait for a few more people to join, and then I'll let you know when we're starting. Thanks for joining, everybody.
I would like to thank you all for joining this webinar. Today I'll be introducing you to the Classic and Client Explorer database and ProFile. Today we're going to learn how to set up, filter, index, use the batch options, create and print reports, and then export data in the Classic database and Client Explorer database. Let's begin with the Classic database setup. Let's open up ProFile. Then we go to Options menu, Database, and here's where you're going to select either to use the Client Explorer or use Classic Database. First, we're going to start with the Classic Database. We select Use Classic Database, where you see the file directory for all years, so you say OK, and now we're going to go to the Database menu at the top here, and then we can select Open. Let's look at how to index the Classic Database. As you can see here, my database is empty. In order to add my tax files to my database, I must go to Index. And here in the file directory, I must select the file directory in which my files are saved in. So for example, the C users, my name, my OneDrive, documents, my profile data, and the tax year, so 2022 T1s. Also, do not forget to tick the box Include Subdirectories. And then we say OK. And all your files will show up under the database. If your files are saved to a server, then you would just click Browse, then browse the file path of the server, and then click OK and follow the same steps for indexing. Each file will have its properties window showing at the bottom as well. So when you go into a file and you select the properties of the file, you see exactly the same thing what you see here at the bottom. So you can click on each name and you can see the client status, the e-file status, etc. Now let's take a look on using different filters in the Classic database. Here you see the selections of the default filter of the database. You can also choose on how you see your database, so you can select what you want under the client status or the e-file status. So if you want to see only printed clients, then you would unselect all these boxes and just leave printed. Or if you just want to see all the returns that have been accepted, then you would unselect all of these and just leave accepted. For those who file Quebec returns, you also have the TP1 tab for the TP1 e-file status. Again, you can view your database by selecting certain e-file status like accepted. The convenient thing about filtering your files is when you come upon the end of the tax year and you want to make sure all your files have been e-filed, or if you're unsure if all your files have been e-filed, you can select just the eligible files and you'll see a list here of only files that are eligible. So you can go through them to make sure that you can either e-file them or paper file them. You can also print it by selecting Printing Database. You can print that filter that you've made with the eligible files. You can do the same thing with transmitted or accepted or paper filed, or any other e-file status for that matter. Let's look at how to open or carry forward files using the Classic database. To carry forward a file from the database, you click Database, Carry Forward, and then it'll open up your 2021 files or other prior years depending on what year you're carrying forward. Then you select your file and then select Carry Forward, and then from here you can go to save the file. So File and then save your file. You can also do a batch carry forward by going into Database, Batch Carry Forward. Here you're going to select all your files that you want to carry forward, and then you just hit Carry Forward and it'll bring all your files into the next year. So for example, I'm in 2021, so I'll bring all my files I have selected into the 2022 T1 folder, and they'll be all saved. You can also open a selected file from the database, so you just select your return that you want to open, and the file opens in ProFile. Now let's take a look at creating and using queries in the Classic database. Other database options are the query. Here you can select the Query tab and create a query. So here you would right click and then select Add, and here is where you would add your conditions to the query you want to specific files. Another Classic database feature is printing a report. So go to Database, Reports. Here you select all the files that you want to print based on the query that you maybe did earlier on the file conditions for certain files. So if you want to print that query, a report on that query, you just select the files here and then print report. And then it'll ask you where you want to print your report if you're using a PDF printer. Otherwise, it'll print paper. You can also export a query to Excel. So go by going to Database, Export. You're going to select your files that you want to export based on the query that you made. Then you're going to select Options. Here you'll need to add what fields that you want to export. In order to save time, I've already added my fields that I want to export into Excel. So here I'm going to say Save, and then I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to put in my documents. I'm going to call it Export, and I'm going to say Open, and then Save. I'm going to rename my text document to Export 2022, let's say, and then Open. And here now you see my export file 2 is in the file path. See users, my name, documents, export, new text document. However, here we are going to erase after the dot, we're going to erase the txt, and we're going to put XLS. So this will change it in the extension into like an Excel file. Under the export type here, we have to select tab delimited, always tab delimited. This is how it's going to export. And then you select the export field names here and then say OK. So I have made changes, so it's just asking me if I wish to save the changes. Alright, so I'm just going to save them. Yes. So now I'm going to click export. You'll see my files have been exported. So I can go into my exports folder and I see my new text document here. So I just double click on it and I might get a type of message that says file format and extensions of the document don't match. Do you want to open anyway? So always select yes. And then you'll see your document has come through. All your data has come through onto your Excel spreadsheet. You can edit or modify your spreadsheet to however you want it to look. So you can add color or larger columns, however you want. You can make it to your liking. As you can see, these options are available for all 4 modules. So you see here T2, T3, and FX. Other options in the classic database is printing mailing labels. You can go to File menu, select Print Mailing Labels. It will open up your database, your classic database. So you select all or however many returns that you want to print mailing labels for, and then you select Print Labels. It will give you the default template of the mailing labels, and then you say OK, and then it will print mailing labels. Here I use the PDF printer, so it's just asking me where I want to save my PDF. So I'll write mailing labels. And then hit save, and then it counts my files and it'll print my mailing labels. So now I'll just open up my mailing labels, and there we go. Here is my PDF printout of my mailing labels that I chose from my classic database. Also, another batch option using the classic database is batch e-filing. So you can go to e-file menu, build T1 e-file online batch. It will open up your classic database. You select which files you want to batch e-file, and then you select build e-file, and then your e-file session will start, and you'll either get a confirmation number or error messages for certain files that may have errors in them. So you either get a confirmation number or errors that you must fix. Now let's take a look at setting up and using the Client Explorer. In ProFile, we go to Options menu, Database, and now we're going to select Use Client Explorer. Here you have the choice for a personal server or a shared server. And then you click OK, or you can use the Setup Wizard. If you use a shared server, then you just select the box here, and ProFile will automatically detect the shared server database. You can use the Setup Wizard in order to configure your database step by step. So you would just continue and click Next, and then you would select which database you're using, answer the questions that apply to you, and then you continue for next, and then it'll ask you questions, work with personal collection, make this computer a shared database, so you can select either or, whichever applies. Then you'll see the name of the shared database, then you click next, and then you'll be requested by Windows for permission. This can take a few seconds. And then you'll see click the finish button to exit the wizard as the configuration is complete. And then say OK, and now you can go to Client Explorer, and then from here we can start setting up our database. How to index the Client Explorer. First, we're going to start by indexing our directory for our tax file. So index, and then browse to browse your file directory, which will either be the ProFile directory, default directory, or your personalized or shared folder directory. So my profile data, and here you see that my default directory is C users, my name, OneDrive documents, my profile data. We have to tick the include subfolders. You can skip password, prompt for password, uses password, depending on your preferences, and then say OK. And then you'll see my database is calculating my files, and they'll be added to the Client Explorer. This could take a few seconds or minutes depending on the size of your database. Now my database index is complete, and I can see a list of all my client files. So here it says I have file totals 160. So this includes all years and all modules. Now let's look at how to filter the Client Explorer database. In order to view my database by year and module, I'll have to filter. So I click Filter button up here, and at the bottom a pop-up window comes up. So here you see T1, T2, T3, and FX tabs. Under the T1 tab you have year, client status, e-file status, and other advanced options. If I want to filter my T1 files by year, I will right-click under the year column and clear all. And now I'm going to select my, let's go 2021 files. And I want only my T1 modules. So I'm going to remove the check mark from my T2, T3, and FX. And then I'm going to apply my filter. And now only my T1 2021 files are visible. I can also save this filter in my database by going to Save View and then entering a name of the view I want to save it under. So for example, 2021 T1. So I say OK. And now in the View window here in the drop-down tab, I have 2021 T1s. So it will show me only the filter that I've made. You can also save different types of filters. So let's go under, say, the e-file status. You can save filters for all statuses that are eligible or all of them that are accepted, and then you would just apply filter, and then the files that you have here, you would go Save View. You would name it whatever it is that you need to name it, other eligible files or accepted files. You say OK, and then you'll see your list under the drop down here. You can save different types of filters for T2, T3, and FX. So you'll see under the column here, under the year, under the client status, what types of filters you can save. You can also save advanced filters. So under the T1 tab of the filter, you'll select Advanced, and then you'll get an advanced pop-up window. And then you'll need to create a new query. So you just hit New, and then you select Add. And then here you see conditions, so a file name condition compared to. So in the field name column, you can select the green arrow. You click on it, and it will provide you with a list of information you can select from the info page, from the T1 jacket, from the invoice, T1 schedule. Well, that is now part of the T1 jacket, so you just can use what is provided here. So now you can select what line or information that you want to add. You select OK, and then the conditions are either equal to, is, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And then the compare to can either be a field, a number, a date, a string, or truth. And then you click again on the green arrow and you enter the same information either from personal or T1 jacket. You'll find some very intuitive articles on the community website that will help you to create these advanced filters. There's also this help feature here in ProFile that would open up the ProFile help that will guide you on how to create these advanced filters and queries in the database, either Client Explorer or Classic. Let's take a look at the batch options and features that Client Explorer provides. Here are some of the batch options in the Client Explorer database. On the left here under the details columns, you have actions. So let's select all, and this will select all the files that you have in the view. You can select just a few at a time if you wanted, but if you choose to select all, they will all be selected. So under the actions here, you can see all the batch options. So you can open the files, you can carry forward these files, you can build these files for e-file, you can print the files, or you can print forms in the files. Also, if you go up to the database menu here, you can see other batch options. You can print the mailing labels, you can export the view, or you can export the advanced query, and also you can print the view or the advanced query. Now, if you select to open files, then all the ones that are selected in the batch will open in ProFile. So you'll have to go in ProFile, and then you'll have to either save them individually and close them, or just simply close them, but individually. So you can also batch carry forward. So if you select carry forward files, every file selected will automatically carry forward into the future years. So for example, we are in 2021, so they will all carry forward into the 2022 tax year. We can also batch e-file the selected files. So you just select build e-file, and you'll get a build e-file file window with all your returns selected. You can see here build T1 e-file online batch. There's also the option for Quebec returns to build the TP1 e-file. So you'd select OK. Then you'll see the following e-file session window. So you'll see starting T1 e-file session, and then the next window that will come up will be the confirmation window or a rejection window with errors for certain files or all files. A batch e-file error will look something along these lines. So you'll see the name of the client plus the e-file error. So there could be 1, there could be 3, there could be more, depending on the size of your batch and how many files have errors. Another batch option in the Client Explorer and ProFile is the autofill my return. So you can AFR for a maximum of 10 clients at a time. In order to batch AFR, you'll need to filter your view. So again, click Filter, you select only the T1 module and the current year, and then you apply Filter, and then select All. Go up to the Database menu, select CRA Import, and you'll see the CRA Data Import tool open. Then you'll click the Launch Autofill My Return, and then it'll bring you to the same steps as it would for a single AFR. So you just follow the steps on your screen, and then you'll select what slips or information you'll be importing from the AFR. Another batch option in the Client Explorer is up in the database here, print mailing labels. Here you can choose how many copies of the mailing labels you want. You can select to print only one label per couple. Also, the template of the mailing labels is the default template selected by ProFile. You can change the template to use by using the options template. Let's take a look at how to print a report using Client Explorer. In order to print a report, we first have to set our filter. So we click on Filter. We select only the T1 tab for the module, the current year or the year you want to print your report for. And let's say, for example, I am going to select all the files that I need to paper file. I want to print a report for paper filed returns. So I select Apply Filter, and then I select All, And then I go up to the database, print report. In the create report window, you're going to click on options, and here you're going to add a title. So it will be, for example, you double click or you click on add to add an additional column. So in the title one, double click, and here you can add information from the personal info. So if you're going to print a report on a customer, then the best thing to do is client's first name. In the second column, double click, then you can select client's last name or the spouse last name. The filter we selected for this report was clients that are to be paper filed. So you can just select the client's first name and last name and then print the report for the selected clients. And this way you'll know it's for paper filed. For other types of reports, such as you want to print the e-file number for all your clients. So you can just insert a new column, and then you can select the e-file, return is yes. So under here you can add the formula from certain field codes, like the e-file number. So we've added this under the e-file column, client's last name, client's first name. So you would just add the formula here and then say OK. So now we have our report options all selected. So now to select the printer, I use the Microsoft Print PDF as the default printer, but you can select your paper printer, whichever printer you use. So now you can save your report, and you can save it wherever you want. So you can put it in My Profile Data if you prefer, or in a different folder that you've created. So we can save it and then say OK, and now print. So now, because I use the Microsoft Print PDF, it's allowing me to save it where I want. So I'm going to select my desktop and then save. Well, print for the PDF. If you're printing paper, then you just hit print and it'll send it to the printer. So this is the report printout. So you'll see the names under client first name, client last name, and under the e-file column, well, because I don't have any e-file numbers in my files because I don't actually e-file them, the columns here are empty, but for those of you who do e-file and have the e-file confirmation, you'll see the number in each of these fields. Next is how to export data into Excel. In order to export data from Client Explorer into Excel, we need to create the filter. So again, you select only the one single module, so T1, and then the current year or the year that you want to export the data from. And then again, you apply the filter, then select all or the files that you want to export, and then database, export. Here you see your client list for the data that you want to export to Excel. So now you're going to click on options, and then here you're going to select add in order to select the data that you want to export. Now that I've selected the data that I want to export, I click on format, and here where it says export to file, I have to click on the little file folder here, browse, and then where I want to export, so you can either select your desktop, your documents, or create a folder. I created mine a folder called export in my documents folder. So in this export folder that I've created in my documents, you right click, new, and then you're going to select text document. It will create this text document, and then you can name it anything you want. I am going to export 2022, and then I say open. And now you can see here, export to file, it gives me my file path. However, at the end of this text document, you're going to need to erase the TXT and type XLS. In the export type, you're going to select from the drop-down list and select tab delimited, and then check the export field names box. Then you're going to hit save, and then you're going to save it in your export folder, the folder you created. I have one, so I'm going to just replace it. And then I said OK, and then I'm going to hit export. Now my files have exported, so I already have an exported file, so I'm just going to overwrite, and then you're going to see my files being exported to my file folder that I created. Now I'm going to navigate to my file folder that I created for my export, and then you can see here that I have an export 2022.xls, so my Excel file, so I'm going to double click. Once it's open, you're going to get this type of Microsoft Excel pop-up. It'll say the file format and extension for the document name does not match. So it'll say, unless you trust the source, don't open it. Do you want to open anyway? So always click yes. Now you'll see that your data has been exported into Excel. So you can see all the data information here. Mine are zeros because some data will show and some data will be zeros. It all depends on what data you are choosing to export. This has brought us to the end of our video. Thank you all for viewing. For more profile support options, please visit our website at profile.intuit.ca. Also at the community website, there's all kinds of articles that will definitely help you through everything that we've learned today.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining this webinar. We are still available to answer some questions. Just want to mention that this was a pre-recorded webinar, and we did notice that it was too fast, and we'll look after that for future webinars. What I'm going to do is show a couple things here related to training and what was in the video. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm in ProFile right now. And what Julie was showing was that you can set up to ask specific fields. So there's a sin, but if there's something that you don't see in the drop down, you can go to different forms. So if I want to maybe find out people with rental income, I can use a field in the reports or the export. So there isn't a way to specifically say report if there's a T776. So a workaround for that is to right click, and there's a copy field code. So you can put the field codes in your request for information to show on a report or an export or in a query even. And what you can do is just right click on it, and then it'll copy the field code, and you can put it in the request for a query, export, or report. And this works for any field. Any field in ProFile will have a field code. So if you look in the drop downs that was shown where you can select different things like the name, social insurance number, birth date, that kind of thing. If you don't see a field that you want, you can go to the field, copy field code, and then just enter the field code. Hope that helps. A couple other things I wanted to point out is in ProFile, there's a training, and this helps you to learn ProFile from the very beginning, getting started, how to use forms, auto messages, that kind of thing. So for somebody brand new, it'll help you to work through how to prepare returns. The other thing we have here is other training options. And if I click on that, it takes me to a training webpage at the ProFile website. It's profileintuit.ca. And something here, there's the user guide. So this has information for using any of the modules, T1, T2, T3, or FX. It's a PDF, so it can be downloaded if you want it on your desktop. If I scroll down here, there's some videos. So if I need something on settings, database settings, you can click here for information, for videos. Same idea if I want information on database management, there are separate videos on how to do data import, that sort of thing. So there are webinars. They're available on the Intuit Accountant website, but we have other individual videos that can be very helpful. I'll go back to ProFile. In ProFile Help, there is the live community, and that takes you to the ProFile community where the community members are there to answer questions. And also the Intuit ProFile team monitors these and answers questions profile specific that other community members might not have answers to. The other thing is, we mentioned messaging, and there's start messaging. And what you can do is click on that, start messaging. And what that does is takes you to a community forum, and it has some information there. We always recommend to check for updates. Some issues are resolved if you're just updating to update to the current version of ProFile. And you can go to the online menu in ProFile. You can also ask questions like I was showing in community. So far it hasn't shown me how to chat. I'll just also point out here, it says, how can we help today? And this is here because some questions are too complicated or take more specific help for an issue. So they're not really appropriate for chat. And so if it's database or complicated installation problems, or you're getting an e-file error, there's this one here with e-file strike, with the CRA strike, isn't going to be too helpful. So anyway, there's some preliminaries on this page. And if you say, well, I just want to get to chat, you can contact us and click on chat, and then it takes to the chat window. So those were just a couple of the options that I wanted to show in ProFile, because you have a lot of options at your disposal. You can do the training if you want, you can get the user guide, you can look for other videos through the other training option. And in the help menu, you can start messaging, or you can click on an open community. Again, for this webinar, there are no slides and there are no CPD credits. So just to let you know that. If you do need to review this video because it was fast, you can look at it at the Intuit ProFile website, and you'll be able to start it, stop it as much as you want. The other thing is that there are a lot of articles on topics that were covered in the webinar. So if you go to the ProFile community, you can search for like Client Explorer reports, that kind of thing. Just give me a second here. I will just do one more thing here. Let me just go back and share profile again. Just give me one moment. If you want to start the training, you can click on getting started, and then that'll bring up a bar at the top here. And it will walk you through the steps. You can see there's this bar, welcome to profile. And over at the right, you can click next. And it talks about different things that you can walk through. Starting with, enter the SIN, that kind of thing. So it does walk you through step by step. So if you're very new to profile, you can maybe find this helpful. And if you need to close this, up at the top right under suggestion, you can just and get rid of it. So it's an option that you can test to see if it's helpful. Again, in community, you can look for certain options that you might find helpful, like how do I enter my e-file information and other things like that. So I hope you found this somewhat helpful and got some ideas what ProFile has available and what you can do from ProFile for reports and other things. And we'll leave it there for now. Thank you for joining this webinar. I hope you found it enjoyable and have a great rest of the day. Bye, everybody.